I fell in love with art making, with drawing, with these images, with storytelling when I was a very young kid. And it's never died down. It's never not been the most fascinating thing I know. Because my mind is always trying to solve these like existential problems with the paintings or bigger ideas about something that is feeding where all this goes. All the work, all the individual pieces, and there's been thousands of paintings, tens of thousands of drawings. All of them are tiny pieces building the skill set to make something else, or to put together some big, profound understanding of who I am as a person or who I have been in this life, and also what relevance that would have to anyone else's life. And a lot of that comes from the family that that raised me, who were anthropologists, and they lived way out in the country, and they made their own things as much as they could. They were hippies in the 70s who turned into vastly different people when they were older, and they also couldn't see any difference in themselves from when they were young. But what I think that did was that made me someone who was very curious about everything around me, but also someone who was used to being in places where they weren't from. Like, I'm not from Omaha, I'm a transplant here. So getting here and getting to make the work that I have, and frankly getting to be an artist at all, it seems like things that were perhaps sort of set in motion well before I was feeling like I was in charge of what set the motion in my own life. There's always been creative work in my life. I've always made things. I didn't always think that I was the sort of person who was going to get to make things. I didn't think that I was the sort of person who got to grow up in this sort of way or live the life that I'm getting to lead now in my 50s. The things that wind up affecting me most or guiding what I do come out of largely non-art context. And one of those things really kind of profoundly was a mentor that I found, a public health doctor named Alayna. And after like a lot of sturm and drang and trying to find my own like direction in life, or feeling like I hadn't, or feeling like I'd lost something or didn't know where I was supposed to be going, we had a talk where I was asking him all my hard questions. Oh, I just don't know if I should do this or go in the totally opposite direction and do nothing of the sort. And he just sort of laughed off my questions that were so emotionally raw for me as, Watie, you're asking all the wrong questions, because I wasn't a doctor, and I wasn't a politician, and I wasn't, a medical person or someone who was an activist. I was an artist. And as an artist, I had a very specific responsibility in this world, and that was to live the most genuine and liberated life of which I am capable, and to make work that is as direct a reflection of that as I can. And once he said that, it helped clarify so much of these questions I was having. It changed a lot of how I understood my place in this world. Accepting what I am is a large part of my job. If we all back up, quite a bit to fall 2016, certainly every artist I knew, every white artist I knew, was having a large reevaluation of their entire body of work for their entire life. And they were like, this feels very meaningless in this moment, doesn't apply to issues in the real world. I remember having the thoughts of, my kids are one day going to have kids, and I don't know what's coming. There's a lot of mess coming. And I'm going to get asked what I did when whatever is about to happen was happening. And what am I going to tell them? What am I going to say? I had to acknowledge that I was an artist. These are the skill sets that I have. These are what I can do. What can I make? How much of it could I do? What are the social things that I feel like I could probably pull into this, that I could get away with? I could use the privilege that I am walking around here with, and what could I do with that? If I use that as a tool, what can I do? I told myself I bet I could get 100 people to give me a wall, or I wouldn't have 100 people say no to me. At first, I was picking people who had accomplished great stuff. And at the same time, I was like, you know what? If these are going to be here for 40 years, that was how I was designing them to last incredibly long. In 40 years, if I do this for a child, for someone who's 10, they're going to be 50 when that thing comes down. And they will have 40 years of being the popular kid in that neighborhood. Some of them are in random locations. And then it started clumping in areas where I got it into my head that if we had, a dozen of these in these, on these various buildings in this neighborhood, that whole neighborhood would start to take on the feel of those characters and the feel of the audience for those characters. hadn't intended to move to Nebraska. This wasn't where I thought that I would spend a large swath of my most productive years. This wasn't where I had always thought I would have my great work. I've put down so many roots here. I can't imagine pulling them all up. This studio has been so productive for me, and the number of times that I've had a period where I was unproductive here are super minimal, like very, very few. I never thought that Omaha would have an appetite for my work, but they clearly do, and they haven't lost their appetite for it. This environment does some really, really productive things for a creative person. I'm able to work so much, and I'm able to stay focused so much. I don't have so many cute things competing for my attention. There's been a lot that's gone out into this community, and even though I've always been an outsider here and always had one toe in trying to figure out where else in the world this adventure might take me, or where else I need to learn from in order to do this great thing, I always assumed that was going to be outside of here, and I don't know that it is. Those assumptions, when you get closer to them, they really feel like assumptions. They don't feel like that was based on anything thoughtful, except that I sort of imagined a place that would be more affectionate to me in some childish way, even though I don't think I could ask for a place that accepted me more than what Omaha has accepted me. It has been so much better than I thought it would be.